Now that we have a search field ready, it's time to start working on the functionality and make this form send search requests to the server. First of all, we have to decide which page is going to handle search requests. For that, I'm going to add attribute action and specify the following route. So we're going to be sending search requests to the same route, which handles page with all courses. And the page, which is responsible for showing the list of courses, is handled by course controller. So let's open up this controller, and to the method which handles search request, to show all the courses, we're going to add one parameter called request. And in this case, it is important to also specify type for this parameter, which is request. This way, Laravel is going to automatically inject the request object into this first parameter of this method. And by using this request object, we can get access to what was typed into the search field. As the first step, let's just see what is going to be printed once we're gonna call all method on this request object. I'm going to use dd helper to print out this result on the screen. But before that, we also have to give a name to our search field. Let's add attribute name and specify that this field will be called search. And after refreshing the page in the browser, we can see that the array with one key, search, was printed, and that is exactly the data that has been sent along with the search form. And the reason why we got the array is because we have printed all the data that has come from the client. But in order to get access to only specific property, we can just reference it by its name, like so, and this time we're going to see only the text that was sent under this parameter in the address line. So let's make sure that once we're gonna send this form, the text that we have typed into the search field will be appended to the address line. And indeed, we are seeing this parameter in the URL. So now let's get back to the controller and write the instruction to use that search query we have received from the client in this SQL query. In this case, I'm going to use where-like method to use like operator in this SQL query, because we're going to use the text from the search field and compare it to the column title of the courses table. And as a second argument, we're going to specify the text that we are comparing to, the one that we have received from the client. But in this case, we don't necessarily need this text to be equal to the value from the column title. We only need this text to be present as part of the whole value in the column title. So we are using %sign at the beginning and at the end of this string. And this time, if I'm going to search for courses that contain Laravel in the title, sure enough, we're going to see a few search results. Each of those contain word Laravel, as you can see. Let's try it out one more time with another word, and we are getting the expected results. But I would like this search to work not only with text inside the title column, but also inside the description column. So let's just add another part of like operator to this query by using or where-like method. Here we're specifying that we'd like to compare the search query with the value stored inside description column of the courses table. And before trying this out in the browser, let's also see what SQL query will be generated eventually. I'm going to print out this SQL query by using dd method call like so. And now whatever we're going to append to search parameter in the address line is going to be injected into this SQL query, in that place where we're using like operator and comparing received text with the value from the title column as well as description column of the courses table. And let's see if it's going to work as we expect. Firstly, I'm going to search for courses by using the text from the description. Let's use front-end bundler. We are expecting to get only one search result, and we are. And let's also do one more search by using text from the title. And this time we're also getting the same result. So it works as we expect. Another thing, after sending this form, we can see that text disappears from the search field. There is a way to keep the text in the search field, and to do so, I'm going to add attribute value to this search field and use the following expression to insert the previously used value in this search field. We can read the previous value from the request under particular key by using global helper request and specifying which parameter we'd like to read value of, like this. And by the way, this request helper returns request object if called with no arguments, but if it's called with an argument, which is parameter name, in this case, it is going to return the value of the parameter. So let's send this form once again and make sure that the text that we have previously typed will be saved in this search field. As you can see, the text is still there. And by the way, there are several ways of how we can read the data of a particular parameter. For example, we can firstly call request helper and specify the name of the parameter and store the value in a separate variable and then use this variable in the query like this. The result will be exactly the same. Or we can also read the value of the particular parameter by using property notation like this, since if we're gonna call a request helper with no arguments, we're gonna get request object, and we can reference any parameter by its name. But this time I will not use global request helper and instead get the request object into the first parameter. That will be automatically resolved and passed into this controller method by Laravel. And there is actually another thing that we need to consider, and that is the following. Once I'm going to decrease amount of results on one page, let's say we'll use 2 items on the page, and after searching for courses and going to a different page by using these pagination links, we're gonna see that the previously used search parameter has not been appended to the address line. And to automatically append all previously used address line parameters to the pagination links, we have to use withQueryString method call, like so. And this time, if address line parameter will be present and will open up different page, that parameter will still be persisted in the address line. So that's about it for this lesson. We have implemented search for courses. Let's get back to the editor and remove this temporary amount of results on one page. Link to the source code of this project will be in the video description.